Please use the link below to get the notes, questions, and other videos. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to others for our daily new videos.
Hello guys, today we are going to be looking at the structure of the ovary and the structure of the seminiferous tubes. The ovary, where ova are being produced from, and where the sperms are being produced from. And then we're going to link it to the structure of the sperm. How do we set questions concerning about that? And then the structure of the ovum, and how do we set questions about that? From there, then we link it to the menstrual cycle. But here today we're going to be just talking about the uterine cycle and then the ovarian cycle separately, so that next day, the other day, then we shall talk about how do we interact them, how do we bring about the graph work, and then how do we set questions concerning about that. The structure of the ovary. This is found in the female. There's some specific parts which you need to know when it comes to the structure of the ovary. If we bring such a diagram, you just have to know that this is an ovary. But how is the development happening? Is it happening in this direction or is happening in this direction? So it doesn't matter how do they bring it, as long as you can identify this. So the development in this case is moving this way. So it means that you expect to have maybe day 14 here, day 14 here, and then you expect to have day 28 here, and then you expect to have day 1 there. So it means that around day 7 is there, and then around day 21 is there. So it means that now the cycle moves from this, and then it goes back. So it is basically like that. When we are bringing it in exam, in most cases we don't bring it like this, we bring it in this format. Now if you look at this, now the direction is in this way. It means that you'll find out that this is day 1, and then maybe this is day 7, and then this is day 14, and then this is day 21, and then this is day 28. So you see now the cycle moves in that way, but this case is moving in this way. So as long as you can identify the structures, then that is the best. And then this is what you're going to look at today. So when you find such structure, we call them Graafian follicle. These are the follicles, the primary follicle. These are the follicles where the Graafian follicle is supposed to develop from. Inside the Graafian follicle, you find what you call the ovum. So you find out that the ovum is there. When the Graafian follicle ripe, when it has become mature, around day 14, ovulation takes place, and then the ovum is being released. So the empty Graafian follicle, the structure where the ovum was, now it has become empty because it doesn't have the ovum. So we call it the empty Graafian follicle. The empty Graafian follicle now is being changed to corpus luteum. So now we call this one corpus luteum. And then now this corpus luteum, it is either going to be maintained like this in this shape, or is going to start to shrink based on whether the person is pregnant or the person is not pregnant. You're going to see all these things as we are trying to attempt some questions. So if you have such diagram and ask you different questions, you see that this is the Graafian follicle trying to develop. See, now here you have the mature Graafian follicle, and then you have the ovum inside. So it means that A will be Graafian follicle, D will be the ovum. And then around day 14, the ovulation takes place. It means that if they ask you about the process which is taking place here, it becomes ovulation. And then what is being released is ovum. So we're going to see the hormones which influence these structures to change, and as these structures change, which kind of hormone are being produced. The empty Graafian follicle, and then it's being changed to corpus luteum, and then now it's either will degenerate or it will continue being big, depending on whether the person is pregnant or the person is not pregnant. So here we are seeing that the female sex organ, the female sex organs are found in the lower part of the abdominal cavity, the space of the abdomen. Yes, that's the meaning. Are made up of the covering called geminoepithelium. It means that the outside lining of the ovary, we call them geminoepithelium. When you call them gemino, it means that they can have ability to give rise to other structures. Germ, it means cells, very small cells which have ability to grow with a large number of follicles. So it means that inside you have many follicles. You have many of them in geminoepithelium produced by the follicle. So now we are saying that this process, this produces, now these follicles, when they try to develop, they produce what called the ovum. This produces ova during the process called oogenesis. So production of ovum is called oogenesis, and we saw that, and the production of sperms, we call it spermatogenesis. So oo is being derived from the word ovum. When you say oo, it is derived from the word ovum. Genesis means beginning. Yeah, so it means that beginning of the ovum, or the start of the ovum. So the follicle secrete, now once this Graafian follicle develop, once it develops, as it develops, it starts to produce a structure called a hormone called estrogen. And then now, this estrogen, this follicle, once the ovum is being released, it changes to corpus luteum. And then now the corpus luteum will start to produce another hormone called progesterone. It means that hormone from structure A is going to be estrogen. And then hormone from structure C is going to be progesterone. It's going to be progesterone. So you have to know those two differences, that estrogen is being produced by Graafian follicle, while progesterone is being produced by corpus luteum. Puberty in males. We saw, puberty in males. So if you look at this male, this means that these are the secondary sexual characteristics, the characteristics you obtain which show that now you are what? You are a mature person. Yes. What are some of those characteristics which show that now you are a mature person? So number one, puberty is the period in humans in which they are experiencing what called a physical change in their bodies in order to be capable of sexual reproduction. So if you see the following structures we're going to be talking about, it means that when you're a guy, and then you are tampering sex, you are going to impregnate someone. And then if you go to lady side, if you're a lady, and then you have these characteristics we're going to be talking about in female, then if you tamper with the sex, then you're going to become pregnant. It means that you are sexually mature. However, in the country, you are still young. It's a period which indicates sexual maturity. It means that you are sexually active. You can do sex, but don't forget to stay virgin. All right. In boys, stimulated by testosterone. So you'll find out that in male, secondary sexual characteristics, as we saw that, testosterone is the hormone which brings about this these characteristics. We said that testosterone has two functions, if we can recall. We said that the first one is it brings about maturation of sperms. Number two, it brings about secondary sexual characteristics in male. What are those characteristics? The first puberty change is an enlargement of the scrotum. It means that now the testicles are going to become big. They are starting to become big. If you compare your testicles before, when you're still young, and then now you find out that those testicles are now too big. So they start to enlarge because of the testosterone being produced, so that these testicles can start to produce sperms. As the testes and the scrotum continue to grow, what does that mean? If the testes and the scrotum they develop more, it means that now the person is going to have a big penis. Even the penis is going to enlarge. It's going to become big. I'm very sorry if you have a smaller one. So the growth of pubic hair also, these are the hair you find in on your private parts, and then you find the facial hair, hair under the armpits. Actually, you see that now a guy becomes hairy, like you have beards. Yes, it shows that now you are mature. Then another one is development of muscles and deepening of the voice. However, some people, they have to go to the gym to show these muscles to come out. However, others are born like that. Others are born like that. You can comment down below and then tell us which kind of muscles do you have. Do you have the small ones or you have the big ones? All right. So development of muscles, it means that now this person is muscular. Is it muscular? What about the secondary sexual characteristics in the female? We see that here we have changes which occur under the influence of estrogen. We saw that estrogen perform two functions. The first one, it is very important for secondary sexual characteristics in the female. The second one, it's also thickening or development of the uterus for implantation, or it develops or builds the uterus so that implantation, or it prepares the uterus for implantation by making the endometrium, by making the uterus thick, vesicular, and granular. More thick, it must be thick. More, it becomes thick, and it becomes more blood vessels. That's why you're saying that vesicular. And then granular, it means more glands. So the growth of the female sex organ, it means that now the vagina, the things we are going to become big. It can accommodate the penis. And then you're saying that it starts the menstruation. If you see that blood coming out, the nice one, and then you just know that now you are under puberty. It means that you are develop. Then production of the ova, it means that now if you tamper with the sex, you are all going to become pregnant. And then growth of the pubic hair, that is the pubic hair that we are talking about. You find them that yes, you develop some hair, yes, here and under armpits, yes. And then growth and development of breasts. Yeah, there are some people who don't have breasts. It doesn't mean that you are not mature. Yes, you are mature. Then development of the breast, it means that now the breasts are what? Are big. Which kind of breast do you have? I don't know. All right. Then you're saying that even hips. Yeah. However, you can also find this in male. Why should male have hips? That's a lesson for another day. All right. Development of the hips so that the hips can, you can widen. Yes, you can widen. You can accommodate the developing baby. Yes. And then now, if you have seen the secondary sexual characteristics in male and you have seen the secondary sexual characteristics in female, it means that you are ready. If you go for sex, you are able to conceive. You can become fertilized. So how are these ova and the sperms being generated? Formation of gametes. Remember, when you talk about gametes, in this case, we are talking about sperms, and then you're also talking about ova. Remember, if it's one, it's called the ovum. And then if there are many, we call them ova. So this is the formation of the gametes. All right. So now you're saying gametogenesis is the formation of the gametes. Is the formation of the what? Of the gametes. In these gametes, we are saying that it includes the sperms and also includes the ovum. Then during this process of gametogenesis, the germ cell will undergo mitosis. Remember when we talk about mitosis, we are having four cells. Four cells, you have one cell undergoes meiosis 1, and then also another cell undergoes meiosis 1. Yes, so you have one cell to form 2, you have one cell forms 2, and then 2 forms 4. It means that I have 4 cells, but all these 4 cells are haploid. They are what? They are haploid. And then this one is what? Is diploid. That's the meaning. So now, if you have meiosis, you form 4 cells. You produce haploid cells that are directly developed into gametes. Now, these cells, when it reaches meiosis, meiosis 2, these are still cells. They have not yet developed into sperm cells or ova. No, they have not yet developed. So after that, they have to undergo differentiation and then develop into cells with the specific structures. So you're saying that, hence in male, meiosis is an integral part of gametogenesis. It means that in animals, meiosis is a part of gametogenesis, or formation of sperms. So this is divided into 2. Number 1, male gametes formed by spermatogenesis. It means that now the formation of spermatozoa. And then female gametes are formed by a process of oogenesis, which means that formation of the gametes in female is called the oogenesis. Formation of what? Of ova. So it means that this is formation of sperms, and then this is formation of ovum. All right, let's look at spermatogenesis in detail. Formation of sperms, the beginning of sperms. Yes, this is the beginning. This is sperms. Yes, sperms, and then this is beginning. So formation of sperms, the beginning of the sperms. Where do sperms begin from? Spermatogenesis is the formation of sperms. We have seen that. The process include, this is how we want it in exam. However, other books will talk about a lot, yeah, and detailed. But based on examination guideline in South Africa, this is how we want it to be written on what? On the paper. So under the influence of testosterone, we give you a tick for mentioning the word testosterone. Yes, the diploid cell in the seminiferous tube. You have to tell us where these diploid cells are found. They are found, the diploid cells, in the seminiferous tubes. Then we give you a tick there of the cell undergoes mitosis, undergoes meiosis. So the word meiosis is also a key point. Then you're saying that to form haploid sperm cells, to form 4 haploid sperm cells. Basically, that's what we want. And then you get 4 marks. So under the influence of testosterone, the diploid cell in the seminiferous tube, yes, undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid sperm cells. Simple. No stress. But you'll find out that people will talk about a lot. The germ cells undergoes meiosis to produce 4 haploid cells called spermatids. And then the spermatids will mature to form the spermatozoa. Forms spermatozoa. And each spermatozoa is made up of a head, middle piece, and a tail. That is the previous way how we used to explain it. But now we need it to be explained like this. The reason why I put this here is because sometimes we can bring a question and then you don't know which one is haploid, which one is diploid. Yes. So now, like this, you have the spermatogonium. These cells, they will undergo. We don't want this detailed part of it. The reason why I brought it like this, so that now you know that this is 2N, that this one, the first one is 2N, the second one is, and after meiosis 1, they become 1N. And then under meiosis 2, they remain 1N. Because 1N to versus 1N, if this is 23 chromosomes, even this one is going to be 23 chromosomes. So it behaves like as if it is mitosis. But in meiosis 1, there is decrease in the number of chromosome number. If you start with the 46, now you're going to have 23, which means that there is a decrease in the chromosome number. Structure of the sperm. How does the sperm look like? I usually tell people that a sperm is like a human. Why do I say it's like a human? Why do I say it's like a human? Remember, human has a head. Ne? A human has a chest. Ne? A human has legs. In science, we can say that is a podder. Yes, foot. So it has, human has this. If you remove the head, you don't have a human. Sperm. Sperm has a head. Ne? Sperm has a middle piece. I'm just drawing a rough structure. Sperm has a tail. Ne? Sperm has a tail. So it means that if we call this a head, this I'll call it middle piece. Then I'll call this tail. Sometimes flagellum. So this is the middle piece. This is the head. Don't you see that it resembles a human? Yeah, it means that you come from where? Remember that a human has hair. Ne? Also, the sperm has the acrosome. Remember, a human has the brain, which controls the activities. Also, the sperm has the nucleus, which controls the activities. See, remember, a chest is for energy. Also, the sperm is for energy. Middle piece is for energy. Remember, legs are for locomotion. Also, tail of flagellum is for locomotion. So, it means that we are in a picture. We live in a picture of a sperm. That's how we live. When we see someone, it seems like it's a picture. We see a moving sperm. I'm sorry. All right, guys. So now let's look at it, the structure based on science. Sperm is made up of, number one, the head. We saw that the sperm has a head, which contains the acrosome, which looks like hair, and then that contains the enzyme to digest the what? The membrane of the what? Of the ovum during fertilization. So this, what we want is the head contains acrosome, which contains enzymes which digest the membrane of the ovum during fertilization. So when it's like an adaptation, that head has acrosome. What's the function of acrosome? Contains enzymes. What's the function of the enzymes? To digest the membrane of the ovum during fertilization. So it's like the teeth on the human, which break down whatever you want to eat. So it has the nucleus which contains the genetic material for inheritance. Whenever you talk about the nucleus, you are talking about the genetic material. Then it has a middle piece. Middle piece with mitochondria is the powerhouse. Yes, mitochondria to provide the energy. We say that it has the mitochondria, it has the middle piece. Remember, your chest is for energy. If your chest is weak, you don't have energy. If the middle piece of the sperm is weak, the sperm won't have energy. Then it has a tail which provides propulsion force for movement, propulsion force, it like for locomotion. It gives the forward force. That's the meaning. So this is how the sperm looks like. You have a sperm, you have a middle piece, and then you have a tail. Then you're saying that if we bring it in exam, ask you what is A, you have to tell us the acrosome, nucleus, middle piece, and then tail. What's the function of B? It contains genetic material for inheritance. But A, it contains enzymes which digest the membrane of the ovum during fertilization or for fertilization. So you have to know. When you bring questions, you can say, write down the adaptation of the sperm for locomotion. Now you talk about the tail, and then talk about the middle piece. And the function provides propulsion force for locomotion, provide energy still for locomotion or for movement. So they are talking about for adaptation of the sperm to carry out movement. What about adaptation of the sperm for fertilization? Then you can talk about the head, which has the acrosome, which digests the membrane of the ovum, and then you can also talk about the nucleus, which contain the genetic material for inheritance. So that is the sperm. So that is the sperm in detail. Let's look at oogenesis, and then you finalize with the structure of the ovum in detail. So oogenesis. Oogenesis is the formation of the ovum. When we talk about formation of the ovum, we saw it. Process of oogenesis include under the influence of FSH. Yes, what happens? The diploid cell in the ovary undergoes mitosis. Diploid cell. We saw them, the germ cells. Under influence of this, of follicle stimulating hormone, the hormone that stimulates the follicle, the development of the follicle. The name is given, gives the function. Follicle stimulating hormone. Hormone that stimulates the development of the follicle. This stimulates the diploid cell to undergo mitosis, to multiply these cells, and then only one will start to form numerous follicles. But saying that only one cell inside the follicle enlarges and then undergoes meiosis. So only there are a lot of this, but only one will enlarge to become now the primary oocyte. We just say only one cell inside the follicle enlarges and then it will undergo meiosis. Now this cell is going to start growing under meiosis 1. It means that this is meiosis 1. Yes. And then you're saying that of the 4 cells that are being produced, only one. It means that now then it undergoes meiosis 2. Yes. It is supposed to undergo meiosis 2. Meiosis 2, yes. But now, once it undergoes meiosis 2, not all of them are going to become ovum. Only one. The remaining are going to become polar bodies. So we don't, these ones, they degenerate. They don't become big. Only one is going to become big, or it's going to develop. And then survives to form a mature haploid cell. It means that now, this is 2N, and then this is still 2N because meiosis has not taken place. So since meiosis 1 has taken place, this one is going to be 1N. It's going to be 1N. Also, this one is going to be 1N. This is 1N, 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 1N. But only one will develop. So this is the one which is going to form a mature ovum. Yes. So if this is 46, this is going to be 46, it's going to be 23, 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 23, 23. So basically, that's the meaning. And then they're saying that one cell inside the follicle, one cell inside a follicle, yes, will undergo meiosis, and then form 4 haploid cells. The 4 haploid cells will break up, and then one cell will mature to form the ovum. So basically, this is what we are trying to explain. In the exam, this is how we bring it. Then let's look at the structure of the ovum. Structure of the ovum, you don't need to talk about the detailed part of the ovum. We want to talk about the few parts of the ovum. Parts and the function, the gel-like structure, that's the outside part of the ovum, which protect. Don't talk about the zona pellucida. No, we don't talk about those things. We just talk about gel-like layer. Yes, so it combines all those layers which are included there. So those other parts, you will see them when you go to the university. Then the haploid nucleus contain genetic material for inheritance. Haploid nucleus contain genetic material for inheritance. And then lastly, we say that whenever you talk about nucleus, you're talking about inheritance or genetic material. Then the cytoplasm, whenever I talk about the cytoplasm, we are talking about the fluid of the cell where the activities take place. Cyto comes from the word cell. And then plasm means fluid. Yeah, the fluid of the cell. Yes. Nucleoplasm. fluid, nucleus, the fluid of the nucleus. So that's the meaning. Cytoplasm, the fluid of the cell. So this is how it looks like. This is the gel-like layer. You see, this is the gel-like layer, but we have specific names for that, but we don't talk about those names. Then you have the cytoplasm. Then you have what called the nucleus. So there are 3 parts you need to know when it comes to the exams. So if they are like that, now you can name them, I think. The first one is, you can tell me, first one is, the second one is, and then the third one is. Let's see if you have got it right. The first one is the gel-like layer, the second one is the cytoplasm, and then the third one is the nucleus. Basically, that's the structure of the ovum. The menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle, when you talk about the menstrual cycle is divided into 2. We're divided into what called the uterine cycle and then the ovarian cycle. When it comes to the menstrual cycle, this is what you need to know. Progesterone. You need to know that these two, they come from the brain. Which part of the brain? Hypophysis, or what called a pituitary gland. So they come from the brain, and then these two, they come from the ovary. But you have to be specific. This one comes from the Graafian follicle, while this one comes from corpus luteum. Yes, but these are ovaries. So you also need to know what you need to know about that these 2 hormones, they work under ovary. They work under ovary. Therefore, we undergo what called the ovarian cycle. So whenever you ask you to explain the ovarian cycle, these are the hormones you are supposed to talk about. While these ones, they still in the ovary, but they work no, they don't work in the ovary. This one, they work in the uterus. They work in the uterus. So therefore, they are under what you call the uterine cycle. So this is the brief explanation of these hormones and how you need to know. Yes, so now you have to know the function of each hormone. Once you know the function of each hormone, then the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle and the menstrual cycle is almost done. You need to know that in the brief, you need to know that follicle stimulating hormone is the hormone that stimulates the development of the follicle. Luteinizing hormone, this one triggers ovulation and also changes the empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum. This one, now we are going to the uterus. This one means that it prepares the body for implantation. Yes, for implantation by making the uterus, you see, by making the uterus thick, vesicular, and granular. And then also this one is very important. In maintaining pregnancy, like building a building and then you rent it to someone, the other person will come and maintain it. So it means that estrogen builds the uterus, but the progesterone will come and maintain what estrogen has built. Yeah, you will be talking about the endometrium. It makes the endometrium wall more thicker, more vascular and granular. But we saw that the endometrium, the uterine wall, and the uterine cavity, all of them are uterus. It's a part of uterus. So now if we go back here and we see the ovarian cycle or the menstrual cycle, we shall see that the menstrual cycle is divided into 2. As we said, the uterine cycle, it means that this occurs in the uterus or this occurs in the ovary. And then you're saying that we saw this structure, the development from day 0 to day 28. And then you're saying that ovarian cycle, the development, this is menstruation, and the development of the ovarian of the uterus, then we call it the uterine cycle. So these are the 2. We have seen the hormones which affect this. You see, now the blood vessels have thickened and then the menstruation has occurred. So let's look at the events of the uterine cycle. Events of the uterine cycle. I know you guys were tired a bit. Let's stop here, then we shall start from there tomorrow.